Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Ali Aruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick and mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I am passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you were meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Inspire and Move podcast. I am your host, Ali Aruda, and I am coming to you live from beautiful Newport Beach, California, right here in a gorgeous beach house overlooking the ocean. And I have such a powerhouse guest today joining me here live, Jess Hunichen, who is the co-founder of Shine Talent Group. And I am so excited for Jess to join us today on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It is such a treat.
Thank you for being here.
As you said, this gorgeous beach house. I would like to do all of my work days from here, please.
Honestly, I'm loving this so much.
I'll stay here. I don't know whose house this is, but I'm staying. I've moved in.
Yeah, happy hour just to follow.
Yeah.
Love this. Okay, so I am so excited to dive into so many juicy chats here. But first things first, let's just learn more about who you are, where you're from, and how everything started in terms of your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, so I'll go way back to the beginning, but I'm from Melbourne, Australia. So I moved to Toronto it's almost 11 years ago, which is wild. Spent about 10 years there before moving to LA in January of this year. So I've been here almost a year. But my entrepreneur, I feel like I was like an entrepreneur from like a child. I remember even like there was a girl on my street and we always used to do we had like, I would call them schemes now, like full disclosure looking back, we'd always do like little things on the street. We'd be like, do you want to pay to have your nails painted by like other kids on the street? So there's always like, there was like a little bit of like childhood scheming going on there for sure. But I like to think that was my first entrepreneurial endeavor. So after that, I started a very small PR agency straight out of school in Melbourne. Changed tracks, worked in entertainment, PR, marketing, both in television in Australia. And then I moved to Toronto and I did not anticipate being an entrepreneur here at all. I was just going to get a job in publicity and all was going to be perfect. And that was that. But it really didn't work out that way for me. So I feel like I was almost forcefully pushed back into it because I was like, no one is hiring me here. And yeah, so I had to really just like change my mindset around it. And yeah, kind of, I feel like it all just fell together, but I met my business partner very much by happenstance. And we started working together the day that we met. And through there, we started an agency together, like 3 or 4 months after that. So it was my first endeavor with a formal business partner, which is really interesting. And I think we talk to a lot of people about this because I feel like most female business partnerships start because you have a really good friend and you have an idea together and then you kind of go and explore that. Where Emily and I weren't friends. We didn't know each other. Like we really didn't know each other at all when we like got introduced. And then we like got to know each other and of course like became friendly. But I think our business partnership has been so successful. Like we've been together 10 years now. We've had 4 businesses together. I should count that properly.
That's amazing. A full decade.
Yeah. But yeah, a full decade of being together, more than most marriages. And I think that we were able to come into it from a place of like really equal footing. 'Cause, even in a friendship, like you kind of just like, someone's maybe a bit more of a leader. Someone's a bit more of like the easygoing follower. Like that just happens. Like that's just personality types. But we could go into it just like being really even and not knowing that much about each other's history and background. And it just, our friendship, of course, like grew over the years and we're such great friends now. But I don't know, it's just an interesting one that I don't feel like is very common for female business partners and probably not male business partners either, to be honest. So yeah, that's how we started. We started first as Shine PR. It kind of pushed into launching Shine Influencers later that first year, which is now kind of what we do. First it was Shine Influencers, now it's Shine Talent Group. But yes, it was a very fun journey, and lots of other businesses and things along the way.
That's a really beautiful story.
Yeah.
And for both of you, do you possess a lot of the same talents and characteristics and strengths, or are you a beautiful balance where, you know, Emily has this strength and you have this strength? How do you wear your hats?
It's a little bit of both. So there's many things that we do together and many things that we divide and conquer on. But I remember very early on starting Shine, we did some kind of, I guess I'd call it like planning, brand building work with a company. And they had like different colored Post-it notes. So like I think Emily had pink and I had yellow or something like that. And as we were writing them, they would kind of give us a prompt and we'd like scribble down little things on Post-it notes. And she was kind of like grouping them together in similar themes as we were writing them down, this other person. And it was really funny to watch at the end. It was like this perfect like butterfly almost of like, there was like a top yellow and a top pink, and then under the yellow was all the pink themes, and then under the pink was all the yellow themes. It was like, it was really interesting how like symmetrical it was. And I think it really showed us that where we have different skill sets, absolutely, like we're not the same person. We have different skills, different ideas, but we have very similar ideas in terms of like how we want to run a business, the kind of leaders we want to be, the kinds of things we want to achieve. Like that was always very consistent between the both of us. And I think like even from like very early days when we like used to be like pre-COVID, when we were all in office together, just with our Toronto team, like they really got to see like Emily and I and how we kind of workshopped things together, because like we never agree on things. Like we always have different opinions. Like that's like been a real consistent for us, but we always can like get somewhere together. And it's not that like M compromises for me or I compromise for M. We always can like really get to a point where we're like, no, I get it. This is the right decision. And whether, again, that's like it was fully my idea that M came around on or vice versa, it's been like a really beautiful part of our business partnership and just relationship in general, because it means that like neither of us really ever feel like we're compromising, and we can always just get to a place where we feel really good about the outcome.
That's amazing. It really speaks to the dynamic of the two of you as female entrepreneurs and leaders, but then obviously from a partnership standpoint as well.
Yeah.
I'm in business with my husband, which has been a real beautiful journey and it also included the COVID years.
Yeah.
And we
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Like for business and marriage, are like gold stars all around.
You got through, no divorce.
Yeah.
Hooray.
But I always really love looking at us as business partners of how we balance each other out with our strengths and our differences, how we have conversations, whether it's with our team or our clients in our community. And I think that is so exciting about partnerships when it comes to business.
I've seen a few husband-wife partnerships, and I think they often get, and maybe you had this as well, like you often kind of get cautioned against it, but like, I don't know. I feel like they can be like such wonderful partnerships. Again, it's got to be the right people, and you have to have the strongest communication for sure. And, you know, learn not to take things too personally and whatnot. But I don't know. I think like any partnership can work if the two people have, you know, similar ideas of what the end goal is and a similar kind of idea on how they want to get there.
Absolutely. You're rowing in the same direction and you're lifting each other up along the way.
Yeah.
I heard you say something earlier in your conversation with our mutual friend, Christina Bartold, about how you approach challenges. And, you know, Lord knows as business owners, we have them all the time.
Yeah.
But how you, which I really appreciate because we are the same, you extract lessons and takeaways from them that, sure, we could probably go without a challenge, but you and Emily and your team do a really great job of extracting something positive from a less than ideal situation.
Yeah, well, there's been so many challenges, like more than I could ever count. But I really do feel so confident that like each one, we have come out of it with opportunity, or we've looked at it from the lens of like, there is an opportunity, there's a learning, there's something in here for us. And I don't know. I'm over the mindset of like, I don't think you can make a wrong decision. I really don't. Like, you can regret a decision for sure. But I think that decision making is really interesting like that. Like I say this to team members, like if a team member is leaving Shine and like they feel uncomfortable about it, it's really hard to resign from a job. Even if you're ready to go, it's a hard thing to do. And I've had conversations with team members where I've been like, I don't think you can make a wrong decision here. You're either going to leave, and like I don't want them to leave, but like they're young, they got to move around. That's just like, that's life. And I feel like I'm like, you're either going to leave and it's going to be amazing and you're going to have this great new job, or you're going to leave and you realize that like it wasn't for you, and like maybe you'll come back, maybe you'll do something different altogether. Like it just, I don't know. I feel like decision making, people put a ton of pressure on it and can get really, you know, that kind of like decision fatigue and analysis paralysis and all of that. And I don't know, I'm just a believer that like no decision can be wrong. And then I think it makes it easier to make them. I'm like, if it's wrong, then like on to the next. Like we'll figure out what the next step is from here.
Absolutely. And just for context for the audience, let's chat about what Shine is. I know we chatted through sort of like what the evolution is, but what are you now? You are in multiple cities, multiple countries. Yes. And what are the services that you offer?
Sure. I forgot to talk about that at all. I thought we were just going to talk about me.
It's actually like a great parlay because I have about 29 questions to follow. So this is like a selfish layup on my end.
Okay. So now we are Shine Talent Group. We have a couple of other businesses, but the main one we'll focus on is Shine. So Shine is a talent management agency. We've been around for about 10 years. We have offices in Toronto, which was where we first started, LA, New York, and now the UK. We opened the UK office last September. Yeah, so it's been a little over a year we've been there. But yeah, so we manage talent, so all kind of different levels of talent. We really started very much in the micro space. And then that has transitioned because lots of them grew and we went like, okay, goodbye. Yeah. So they, of course, stayed with us. But we manage, give or take between 250 and 300 talent. And we manage all of their collaborations. So if you see someone on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube doing some kind of sponsored ad and they're our talent, we have negotiated that deal. We have negotiated the terms. We're doing all of the contracting, all of the invoicing, and a lot of the pitching to help the talent get those deals.
That's amazing. And I know you've mentioned that you and Emily have a multiple, selection of businesses. Do you not, true or false, also have a business that is part of more so like the invoicing and compensation component when working with an influencer? Because I think this is really unique.
Yeah. So we started a company. We've been building it for what feels like 500 years. Has kept me up a couple of nights, but it's called The Thread. So The Thread is a project management tool for talent managers. So it really kind of manages your end to end. So like a talent management agency would have it so they can track all of their accounts, everything their talent is doing, have it all in like nice, neat calendars. It connects to invoicing software and all of that fun but kind of boring stuff, sends out your invoices for you. And yeah, so that's something we've in reality have been building it for about 2 years. It's almost ready to go. I hope every day it'll be ready, but sometime soon.
That's amazing. And did that come out of a need, like with you being in the business and being in the work every day, thinking that like, there's a lack here? Yeah,
we absolutely needed it. We were working off a plethora of spreadsheets that sometimes connected to each other and sometimes didn't at all. But it just it was getting out of control.
Do we love a Google Doc?
I love a Google Doc, but this was there were so many, and it's just ripe for human error, right? That's when you have to change something in one spreadsheet and 4 others. It was not good. So we researched to find something like this, and then we researched if there was something that existed that we could tweak to make work for us. And what we were basically told is okay, you can take X platform that already exists, and to do all of the modifications you'd need, maybe to be 50K. And at the time, we were that's a lot of money. It's still a lot of money. 50K is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Maybe for double that, we could just build our own whole system. That was so idealistic. Bless that sweet girl me who thought that was possible.
Good for you.
But now, and someone at the time was when you're building a tech platform, know that it will take double the time and double the budget. And
I was like a renovation.
I was like, no way. Like, it will never, like, we've got this. And now I truly like laugh at that girl who said that, again, myself. But yeah, it's like 10 times the time, 10 times the budget. And like, it keeps you up at night a little bit, but it's almost ready and it's great. So like it really like has helped our team kind of keep everything all together, which is nice, but definitely built out of a need. Like this industry, you know, it's so new still, even though like it's been around for a little while, it's like compared to any other industry, like it's so new still. So
and so much growth.
And with that, you know, people need, you know, functions and services to be able to operate these businesses. So yeah,
I think it's so exciting. And I actually used to be in the world of PR as well in Toronto prior to my entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
And I remember, I mean, it was like a core memory in the moment where I had, one of my brands was Tissot watches.
Yeah.
And I had a placement for this watch. It was around the Toronto Film Festival.
Amazing.
In Hello Canada magazine.
Love it.
And someone went into, you know, a appropriate jewelry store that carries Tissot with the magazine and we're like, I would like to buy this watch.
You're an influencer, one of the originals.
Was the biggest win, and because that was how PR was done in those days.
Totally.
And you sort of had your online blogs and a couple of like online magazines, which sort of set the tone for the world of influencer marketing.
I say this a lot. Influencer marketing is the oldest trick in the book. Like, it really is. Like, social media and like the way we connect with consumers now is different. But influencer marketing, it was PR. Before that, it was in print. It was in television. Like you look back, like the movie, like the original E.T. movie, it came out in like 1987 or 86. Like, Reese's Pieces paid $1 million to be in E.T. And like, that's influencer marketing because they knew everyone was going to see that movie. And like, what do they connect with it? Reese's Pieces, you know? It's like, it's really interesting because we talk about it, of course, as like such a new thing and this new industry. And it is in many ways, but the tactic of influencer marketing is the same. Like, it's tried and true. Like, I need to find the right audience and like, what method am I using to reach them? And right now the method is social.
Well, it's just taking, as you said, like old tricks and just doing it differently, but also having more opportunity to reach people in multiple countries.
Exactly.
By being able to, you know, use an iPhone or whatever phone you have.
The internet has no borders.
And use that as your tool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're entering the part of my 29 questions, give or take my number. I want to chat because I think this is really fascinating about audience size.
Yeah.
And breaking down, you know, nano, micro, your Kim Kardashians of the world, and sort of giving an overview of what those sizes are and like the follower count for your audience.
Yeah. And this is something like, I'll give you my opinion. It's so subjective. Like everyone, like I think every agency has like slightly different takes on this. But my personal opinion on it is I would say anything under 10K is nano. So we'll go nano, micro, mid, macro, and then celebrity, I guess. So nano, I would say under 10K. Micro, really anywhere from 10K to maybe 100K. And this is kind of, it's also different for Instagram and TikTok now, right? I'll talk, this is Instagram numbers.
Perfect.
And then, so that was micro, mid-tier, probably anything from like 100K to 500K-ish. And then macro 500K up, or some people might say $1 million up. Again, it's kind of different. It depends agency to agency. You'll find different things. And then you've got your kind of more traditional celebrity, like your Kim Kardashians of the world.
Yeah, your Beckhams.
Yes.
All of those are the multi-millions.
Yes. Yeah.
And what does it look like when, you know, for an agency like Shine, what do you look for when looking for influencers to pair with an appropriate brand partnership?
Yeah. So numbers, like when we're looking at influencers to like bring into the agency, numbers really aren't that much of a factor. Sorry, follower numbers aren't that much of a factor. I should delineate between. So there's lots of numbers that we look at, but I'm not really so concerned with like, oh, you have to be a mid-tier, you have to be micro, you have to be this or that. It really depends on like the kind of connection that you have with your audience. That's always going to be the most important thing. I want to know how many brands are reaching out to you with opportunities, what your DMs are like, what your engagement rate is, of course. They're kind of the metrics that like we're looking at more than just like how many followers do you have, because like I'd rather sign someone with 10,000 followers who has a 10% engagement rate than someone with 100,000 followers with less than 1% engagement rate. Like I'm kind of like, okay, you have those followers, but like they're not super engaged with your content. So like, are they very valuable? And the answer is probably not.
That's something that I think about often just with my personal page is, what am I sharing that is going to connect with my audience? Or is it a product that I really love that has had a positive impact for my health or my daily routine?
For sure.
My dogs, whatever it may be, that I'm not going to just show something for the sake of showing something.
It's about value, I think. Like, what can I do as a content creator to continually provide value to my audience? Like, I think that's the mindset that you should be looking at it with. And I agree. I think if you are kind of hawking products that you don't really believe in and you're there for a quick paycheck, people sniff that out. Like,
I was going to say, people are smart.
Unfortunately, people are so smart these days. It's so annoying. But people just sniff it out. So like, whilst maybe you will get that like really nice paycheck for one campaign, you're not going to get it again, or you're certainly not going to get it from that brand again. And then moving forward, everyone's going to ask, like, what's your engagement rate? Show me your last sponsored content. I want to see the back end analytics. Like, brands they're asking for this stuff, and they should. Like, brands should ask for it. Like, they should understand how your content performs when it's an ad and how it performs when it's organic. That said, that's also like a really nice opportunity to be able to negotiate with brands and say, if you give me full creative freedom here, I know how to connect with my audience. You're going to have to trust me a little bit, and that's a bit scary for them. But the more they're able to trust and like give you creative control over the content, like, you know, your audience, like, you know, they're going to respond to one type of content more than another type. So I think it's really important for brands to be able to do that. So I think if you're a creator listening and brands are asking to see analytics of sponsored versus organic content that you're sharing, certainly say to them, like, if you're able to like give me more creative control here, like, I know this content is going to perform better.
I love that, and I respect that, because I think people crave authenticity.
They do,
in terms of what they're consuming.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you've been saying, or you've been mentioning a lot, which I feel I don't want to skirt over, is engagement rate.
Yeah.
And the weight that holds with your audience, your platform, but then what brands are looking for. So can you speak to engagement rate a little bit more? What is it, or how you measure it?
Another one that everyone kind of measures it a little bit differently. So like, I personally would measure engagement rate as likes and comments per photo added together, and oh my gosh, you're testing my math now, divided by the number of followers that you have, or the opposite, whichever number gets you a smaller percentage. Right. So yes, the number of followers divided by that, or that divided by the number of followers, I should say. And so you'll find that like typically the lower number of followers someone has, the higher engagement they will have, because as it gets bigger, like it's really hard to maintain. So we would say anything around like a 3% engagement rate is good. Anything above that is really strong. But it's also about where your audience, depending on the brand, where your audience is, right? So like a Canadian content creator, again, this will change as their audience increases and increases. Their audience will naturally spread to other countries, particularly the US, because Canada is a smaller market, right? Like the US is a conglomerate compared. So if you are going to be really, really attractive to brands as a Canadian content creator, if you have a high percentage of Canadian audience. High percentage, I would say, is anything over 30% Canadian is really strong. If we have talent who are like have 50% Canadian audience, we're like, sweet angel, we love it. Yeah, that's like very, very high. And again, it's subject to just kind of, it will decrease as your audience grows, which can, I guess, could be disheartening, but it's not. Brands are used to it. They know to expect that.
Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took 30 seconds and shared this on social media, send it to a friend, or leave a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I am so grateful to have you part of mine.